Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Hogs Media Podcast. Garen Wynn here.
Josh Mullane, how's it going?
So, to start off, today, a lot of guys signed for the football team. How do you think we did, and what do you think about the transfers we were able to get?
Yeah, I think picking up Xavier Sori from Georgia, I think that's a big win. He wasn't a superstar at Georgia, but he definitely contributed. He was a player. He got out there, helped them become the number one team in the nation. Obviously they ended up losing in the SEC championship, but he's going to be really, really great for us. I think that he could have a similar story. He's a different player than Drew Sanders. He's bigger. He's like 6'3", 220, so he's a physical linebacker. But could have maybe a similar story, similar to like a Drew Sanders, where he came from Alabama, where he was a contributor, but not a stud, playing behind, Wes Anderson. And yeah, I think Sorey could kind of have a similar trajectory here and come in, make an immediate impact, be that like focal point of our defense, especially at the second level, and really, unify us at a position that we lost, actually probably more of our depth than almost any other position, maybe other than running back where we lost, Rocket and AJ. But yeah, having lost Chris Paul Jr., having lost Jordan Crook, Manny Powell, we lost a lot of linebackers. And so I think it's huge that we pick up someone, that's 4 stars. He's got like a 90% on 24/7 sports, and
Yeah, he's
I like it. It's a win.
five-star high school player, so
Yeah.
it's a huge transfer. Like you said, a player at Georgia's can be a star for us. I mean, we already saw with Drew Sanders, a guy that nobody really talks about at one school can be our MVP. So I think hopefully, like you said, he has that same impact here. I think going off transfers, Nichols, the offensive lineman from Tennessee, is huge. It's a three-star transfer, but he was a four-star in high school. I think that's huge. Kicker Shipley from Hawaii. I don't know much about him. I don't. I heard he did place kicking at Hawaii, so he was two-star in the portal, but he's a kicker. I mean, I think we were lucky to have Cam Little, so fans are going to have to lower their expectations because we're not always going to have a Cam Little. And
Yeah.
Slaughter, cornerback from Tennessee, tackle from San Jose State. We already talked about Taylor Green last week, and then so those are the only new transfers. I think they're not big name players, but they'll have an impact on the team, if you know what I mean.
Hmm. Yeah. And there's still, obviously a whole nother round of
Oh yeah, we got
portal
a while to
to
go.
go. Yeah, long, long way to go. We'll see what happens after bowl season too. There's probably a lot of guys that obviously a lot of guys sit out bowl games, but there's still a lot of guys that want to play and represent their team and be proud. So after bowl season, I'm sure there'll be a lot of new names entering the portal once they've had the chance to kind of get through bowls.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're gonna keep hitting. I think we're gonna focus on the offensive side, hopefully offensive line some more. But like you said, that linebacker room, we might need to. But we have some high school guys coming in too. I mean, we have a whole slew of different positions that committed today. There's been some drama. Missouri getting our number one player in the state yesterday. Fans have been heated about that. That kind of hurts.
Yeah,
Getting Crutchfield from Pine Bluff. That hurts.
it does. I mean, if you can't keep in-state talent, what are you doing?
I think it's that, and it's who we lost him to. If we lost him to a Texas, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, okay, well, you live with it. But it's Missouri, Drinkwitz, and that just makes our fans pissed. So
Yeah.
I think that's. But we got Bethel Roman today, a wide receiver from Missouri City, Texas. People have really liked him, four-star. So maybe he'll slot in. I mean, we got a couple wide receivers signed. It's tough to tell with these freshman guys. You never know how they're going to translate to college. But Pittman's been under fire, but I think he's doing a good job.
He's making the best of it, making the best of the portal, making the best of, of what he
Four and
can
eight team.
do. What?
Being a 4-8 team.
Yeah.
It just comes with it. No one wants to transfer to a 4-18
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
And do you think it has to do with somewhat a lack of job security for Pittman? Like guys are thinking, I have to play more than 1 year. Do I want to go to a school where their head coach might be fired my freshman year, and then I'll have to transfer? You think that's possibly happening too?
I mean, I think for definitely for high school commits, like that's they still have a long career ahead of them. And to have the middle of their college football career, the start of their football career be kind of have this looming mystery, this unknown about who their coach is going to be, their first year of development, which is arguably the most important year of development, right? I mean, the jump from high school to college, you have your biggest learning curve, your freshman year. And to then uh end that year and have to start all over with a new coach, in a new system. That's tough. And it's tough to ask anyone to do that. I think most guys would want to say, like, yeah, I want to be somewhere 2 or 3 years, really get the college game under my belt, and then maybe transfer for my junior or senior year, which is obviously where we see a lot of transfers coming in and out. The transfers that we're getting in are those older guys. It's a lot of these older guys that know that they have 1 or 2 years left of eligibility. So for them, like, if it's Pittman's final year, that's not necessarily going to make a big impact on their future.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
But KJ, I don't know if we talked about it last time because I think it just happened over the weekend. He
yeah.
officially announced his departure.
I mean, we've talked about it multiple weeks. We were all expecting it. I mean, I think you've said since the get-go, since the season ended, you were like, he's gone. I
Yeah.
didn't really see a chance he stayed. I think you were the same way.
Yeah. I mean, where, in the terms of Arkansas lore, where does KJ land? What's his legacy? What's his history?
It's so tough to tell because he was a good player. Like I've been seeing tweets, people saying, "Oh, he's not even a top 10 Razorback quarterback," and then they'll list other guys above him. And I don't know if I quite agree with that. I think he's definitely top 10. And I think
Oh, yeah.
people are just basing it off. We went 4-8 this year, and he didn't play as good as people wanted him to. But at the end of the day, he leads a lot in stats, and the people are like, he played so many years. But at the end of the day, he left an impact, and we were a winning team. People forget we were 2 wins before he was the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a stable quarterback after the Allens, and then KJ came in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think he did a good job. He wasn't phenomenal, but
No,
he was consistent. He was steady. I would say over 3 years, what is that? Uh, 39 games. He was injured for a few, obviously, but I mean, he played over 30 games as a
yeah,
starter, I think.
35 to 40 games. Yeah,
Yeah. And I would say like maybe only 2 or 3 games out of all of that I can think of that I could say like KJ maybe is the reason we lost. But like he didn't lose us any games. You know what I mean? Like there was a few times where he was the reason we won. I would say that was also probably only like 4 or 5 games out, or like three or four games out of all of them. But for the most part, it's like he was solid. He never lost any games for us. He didn't necessarily like win any games for us. If we were ever playing from behind, it was kind of we were usually generally just kind of stuck playing from behind. Um, but yeah, I mean he's good. I think, in terms of like legendary like quarterbacking, I mean I think Ryan Mallett, the Allens,
Tyler Wilson,
Tyler Wilson, Matt Jones, so I'd say like, I could probably think of 4 or 5 guys that
Quinn
left a
Grovey.
mark.
Can't remember his name. It's a three-part name. Played in the 70s, but he's like a
Mm,
Hogs legend. I can't remember the name, but he's
yeah,
definitely up there. And then I would slot KJ in that 7 to 10 range.
yeah,
Nine
definitely.
or 10. I just think he has to be on the list.
Yeah, he has to be. You don't own every career record and
Exactly.
not be on the list. Like most touchdowns, most passing touchdowns, and most total touchdowns,
Yeah,
right? Or is it
most total
most total?
touchdowns, most passing
Most
attempts.
yards, most completions. Like, yeah, you can't leave someone like that off the list. But we'll miss him. I wish him, I honestly wish him the best. He's one of those guys that you can say thank you for your service. You made it through your senior year. He's going to be a graduate, um, grad
I
grad
mean, yeah,
student.
he's an SEC graduate from Arkansas. That's something. I mean,
Yeah,
he gave us 3 good years. We might
yeah,
not have won as much as we wanted to, and like you said, he might not have won us games, but he was consistent and he played his butt off. At the end of the day, that's really all you can ask for.
yep,
A respectful goodbye.
yeah. So KJ, best of luck. Wish you the best. Thank you for 3 competitive, hard fought years.
He definitely
So
could have left earlier, but he never did.
yeah,
Shout out to him. I think that really covers football.
covers football. We've got Abilene Christian tomorrow in basketball.
That worries me. Worries me a lot.
Yeah, coming off a weird Lipscomb game.
Uh,
Um, I'm sure at this point everyone's heard the news or watched the game. Up by 20 with 10 minutes to go in the second half. And the the final number was after that point, Lipscomb went on a 21-2 run. 21-2 to cut it to 1 point. And even after that, we only scored, I think, 3 more. It was like Devo's bucket, and then we had like a free throw or something. And it was it was weird. I've never seen like a complete collapse like that especially from a, you know, Power Five, well-respected team with like all SEC players on it against a mid-major to have that drastic, like a 10-point run, okay, that can happen any night. 12-point run even. But when you're up 20 and give up 20 and you don't score for a matter of, I think it was like 8 minutes before we finally like got a bucket or like one bucket over the course of like 8 or 9 minutes against Lipscomb. How?
score was 61 to 41, 10-minute mark. We ended up winning the game 69-66. So that means they ended the game on a 25-8 run. And they had a chance to win. I mean, they if they hit a couple more threes at the end, it's a tie ball game. You never know what happens. We got
Yep.
very lucky. Again, like you said, how do you let that happen against a Lipscomb team? I just wish the team we saw versus Duke would even show up 80% against these mid-major teams. I don't know what our guys' deal is, but they had an urgency in this game. They played well. You get up 20, you have to play somewhat well.
Yeah.
They just they coasted, and you can't coast.
Yeah. They coasted. I think, and Musselman said this in one of his interviews. He said, I think when our guys play against a team like Duke or Purdue, where everyone's saying like, "Oh, you're gonna get the floor mopped with you," the guys know the only way to win is to play the right way. But then when you go up against Lipscomb, it's kind of like, well, I could probably beat these guys one on one. I could probably be a little more careless with the ball, be a little more loosey goosey, maybe try to jump some passing lanes a little bit, harder than I normally would, or try to jump some steals. And Lipscomb was having none of it. I mean, they took care of the ball pretty well,
They
um,
do.
and just took advantage. I mean, yeah, especially those last 10 minutes, they were getting out running, like every rebound that they were getting, they were pushing it down the floor, finding an open man. I mean, and our effort was like pitiful. I mean, there was like that one run out on the play where I think it was Brazil just like tossed it to their guy, and Davenport was the only guy that ran down court to try to like get back on defense. It ended up being that goaltending block against the backboard. But all the rest of the guys were just, you know, kind of walking with their heads down, walking back down the court. Tremont Marks pointing at guy, he got beat a few times at the basket, was like pointing at guys, where's the help? Where's the help? I thought you were going to pick up the help. I thought you were going to do this. Brazil just kind of seemed like deflated after he missed like a few like chances at blocks and just would kind of just like stand there. I'm like, where is like Davenport's showing heart. I gotta give him
He
props. Like
does play
Davenport
hard.
was playing hard and showing like heart through the whole thing. Um, Graham, I would say Jalen Graham was really like given a good effort. He had some unfortunate errors. Maybe some of those were other people's, like the pass that like blocker tried to send into him in the near
Yeah.
the top of the key that was just like fumbled on the ground, and then he missed a defensive assignment. I think had one more like bad pass, and but other than like some mistakes, like I feel like he was like putting in a lot of effort. Um, he was playing with some swagger. I wish he would stop doing the too short thing. Like, dude, just like play. Like, stop doing that
Like I
every
understand
shot.
why he does it, and it like I've done it before in a game, I'm not gonna lie. It's a fun thing to do, but he like holds it down all the way back on the defensive end. Like, do it when you score, that's fine. But put it away. He like runs down the court doing it. I understand what you're saying. Like, you're supposed to be scoring on a Lipscomb guy, Jalen. Like, I know you're
Yeah,
excited, you got some swag, but you're supposed to score on a 6'2" white guy. Like, I don't know what your deal
right. Yeah. And also, and this is like, I know everyone does it in basketball, so I'm not, but just that expression in general is kind of like, it's kind of like when people cheer like overrated when a bad team is beating a good team. It's like, you're overrated. It's like, it's actually better for you if they're not overrated. Like, if they truly are the number one team and you just beat them, then like, you are playing
It
as good
looks
as the
so
number
much
one
better.
team instead of saying like you shouldn't be number one. It's like, well, then you didn't just be number one. It's kind of the same thing. It's like if a guy's too short to guard you, then what pride is there in like outscoring him or scoring over him? It's like, actually, what if you score on a dude that's like known for being big and tough and can block shots and you score over him? That doesn't mean he's too short. It just means you were better. You beat him. So anyway, that's personal.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, now if Jalen Graham was to score like an Oscar Tshiebwe type, one of Kentucky's bigs this year, then you can do too small.
Right.
Or Shaq, then you can do too small. But against a Lipscomb guy, come on, man. I mean, it's just not. And the one thing that stood out to me throughout the game is the subs, the subbing that Coach Muss did. I understand he's trying to figure out what to do with this team, but I don't think the like one mistake gone, one mistake gone, like the constant like 1 to 2 minute, there's going to be no confidence for the players, none.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I agree. It's hard to get in a rhythm. It's hard to get in a flow. It's hard to even see who does work together, because it's like, I mean, I've played basketball with guys, and sometimes all it takes is that one mistake to realize like, oh, my guy, my teammate
Especially
is gonna
early.
gonna
Yeah,
do this. He's gonna switch. Oh, he's gonna switch this way, or oh, I actually can trust that he's gonna provide that help. I didn't see him, but he was there. Like these things, sometimes happen. Or if a guy, because a lot of our parts are interchangeable. It's like maybe you have a guy that for one play was running the option as like the two guard, but he should have been running the option as the three, or the three playing it as a four, whatever. And it's like sometimes all you need is that one mix up to be like, oh wait, yeah, no, I'm not supposed to cut here. I'm supposed to like flare out here, like different things. But it was just kind of like, oh no, you made the wrong call, you're out. Like you're done. Like you missed it. Super short leash.
that's
Something I am curious about, the one person that does not have a short leash, and I feel like they've earned it from being here for 4 years, is Devo. Um, but I would say 10 games in, that long leash should have resulted in multiple really good performances by now, and it's not happening. And so that is a big question mark for me, is like, at what point do you maybe say like, shoot, maybe part of the chemistry issue, I don't know, but like maybe the chemistry issue is Devo, or maybe we need Devo coming off the bench to provide a spark, to provide that lift off the bench that we need. Like, but his defense, like he's not playing all American defense, all conference defense like he has in the past. Like his guys, yeah, he's getting the toughest or one of the toughest defensive assignments every night, but like those guys are putting up numbers, those guys are putting up buckets. And then offensively, like he's been a non-threat like all year. He scored one bucket against Lipscomb in the second half. And yeah, it was a crucial, bucket that we needed to pull ahead by 3 points in the final minute. But like you need to, if you're going to be a long leash starter on an Arkansas Razorback team, like you need to be doing, especially on that like 10-minute stretch where there's no scoring, like Devo, you need to be stepping up and getting someone to score, getting some sort of assist, getting downhill, getting that bucket, not waiting until there's 47 seconds left before you finally take over. Like be the leader that you need to be, or like actually make room, and not play 35 minutes a game.
Yeah, I think he's trying to play his role too much in a sense. He knows he's not a main scorer. Well, like you said, if he's not playing all conference defense, he has to be more aggressive on the offensive end. And we know he can. It's not like he's one of those unproven players where it's like, I don't know if he can give us 10 to 15. I just don't know. He scored 20 on Kansas in the national, I mean, in the tournament. We know
Mhm.
Devo can have an impact on the offensive end. And it's just like, where is it at or when does it start? And I'm not to the panic meter yet with Devo because Devo does this. He doesn't show up in non-conference. Then we get a January, February conference, and he's like, "Okay, time to wake up."
Yeah,
You have some of those players where they, for some reason, it just takes them a while to turn that switch on and they wake up. I don't know if
it's true.
Devo, we just start losing in conference. He's like, "All right, it's time." He gets pissed and then just turns it on. But we'll see.
It could be on the year. I mean, he's averaging 23% from 3 point,
Bad,
30,
very.
36% from field goal, 65% from free throw.
He's
And
supposed to be
like
one of
last
our best shooters.
yeah. Uh he doesn't have any blocks on the season. He's averaging less than a steal. He's averaging half a steal per game. So he's getting one steal every other game. And his assist to turnover ratio is, 2.6 assists, which is okay, to 1.4 turnovers like per game.
Which for
Um,
Devo, that's not actually terrible because you remember a couple years ago his turnovers were pretty bad.
it's true, but it's not like
It's not outstanding, like the long leash. I know what you're saying.
right.
Like if he's gonna
If it
have a
was
long
like,
leash, he needs better stats than that.
yeah,
He's got to
I
have a
mean,
bigger
he's
impact
yeah. In terms of turnovers, he's the second highest turnover person on our team behind
first.
Trevin Brazil.
Really?
Trevin Brazil is the most at 1.9. No, sorry, Caleb Battle is at 1.5. And then Mark, Ellis, and Devo are all at 1.4.
Figured L. Ellis might be it. He only played 1 minute the other night. I looked at that. He played 1 minute.
Crazy. We we need to figure out how to get him back like mentally.
We still haven't seen like a. He kind of showed in the second half against Duke, but like his Purdue game was probably like his most complete. Like this is why we got L. Ellis game.
Mhm.
Whole season we haven't seen like him just put together like a big game for us.
Yeah. His our first two, or maybe it was game number 2 and 3. It was either 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, against like the smaller schools, UN, not UNCG, but whoever it was.
Yeah,
One of them,
this
he had like 17 points in the second half. One of them, I think he had 19 in the second half. Um, and like looked good throughout the game. Yeah, he, had a few of those like dumb turnovers, but like for the most part, I was like, he's playing like fast, he's playing downhill, he's playing confident, at least offensively. Who knows what he was missing defensively that we didn't see or notice. Um, but yeah, we got to get him back.
thing, yeah. Like you said, gotta get him back. Gotta have Brazil be more consistent. Still, we talk about it every week. He's just not showing up like we need him to. Battle the other night disappeared. I think he had 2 points. And I think you hit it perfectly last week. He's trying to force too much. He takes to the basket, not really taking good shots. He's just throwing stuff up there, hoping it goes in or he gets fouled. and he's not hitting as many threes as he used to.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt so sad for him the other night. Like Caleb Battle, like he he made like he forced like one really bad shot and it like got blocked, like knocked out of his hands, and immediately he like looked over at the bench and saw that there was a guy coming in for him, and he just like he looked like, oh man. Like I felt so I was like, you're such a sweetheart. You just want to play. Like he's such a
Because
like, genuine guy.
it's like these guys, obviously, everyone knows this. Anybody that listens to this or watches this, they're not trying to make mistakes. No
Right.
athlete ever is trying to like, oh, I'm making mistakes unless they got money on the game, which we don't even get into that. But nobody's trying to. So there's nothing more disheartening as an athlete, we both know, than seeing you're trying your butt and like you're going as hard as possible, and then you just see a guy coming in because you make one mistake. It's like literally you don't want to be there for the rest of the game.
Yeah. It's 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 deflating.
I think Coach Mustis needs to give them at least 2 to 3 minutes to at least get in a groove. He gives
Yeah.
Devo so long, and he gives Davenport longer leash than he used to. He's been getting, which Davenport deserves. So I don't know if
Which Davenport, honestly, he's not turning the ball over. He's
making
giving
more
energy and effort
shots.
on defense. Like he's picking up his shot making. And even when he misses his shot, it's always 9 times out of 10, it's like, yeah, take that shot. Like you're open,
Oh
or
yeah.
you have like the driving lane, like you just missed it. So it's like he's taking the shots that you are supposed to take, whether he's making them at the percentage we want him to or not. Okay, that, but like you can forgive that as a coach. What's harder to forgive is like the guy that you're like, what are you doing? Like you're taking on a double team, shooting a step back fadeaway 3-pointer with 25 seconds on the shot clock. Like what is that? And that's where, you lose trust because you're not losing trust because you missed, you're losing trust because you made a horrible decision. It's your decision making that's bad leads to turnovers, leads to missed assignments. It leads to, uh, like losing your head, losing your cool. If you can make good decisions, you can kind of climb your way out of a cold night. You can kind of climb your way out of a bad shooting performance with being smart. And so, hats off to Davenport. He's been like putting in the effort to learn the system and put in the effort. And yeah, so I mean, I think we'll continue to see a little bit more from him. I think he's really earning that like role player spot, and we'll see who else steps up.
I think right on there. I think Davenport stepped up, taking in his role. And, we talked about it earlier in the season. His shot selection wasn't the best. And now he's taking spot up threes, pull up jumpers, nothing really bad. I think all those other guys, it's all just going to come down to can you accept your role? I don't,
Hmm.
I don't think our guys have quite bought into that. And we're going to need to for these last couple non conference games because they're not
Hmm.
easy at all. I mean, Abilene Christian won against who was it, Texas a couple years ago in the tournament. They won a tournament game,
Yeah.
so it's
No, they're good. They draw a lot. I think they're number 9 in the nation in drawing free throws attempted.
yeah,
So they're going to be getting downhill. They're going to be physical, and it'll be another good test. And we'll see how we do. Luckily, we're at home. Hopefully, the crowd shows up at Bud Walton, even though it's winter break. And
hopefully so,
yeah,
Pax.
we got 3 more games to figure it out before it gets really rough.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Hogs Media Podcast. Thanks for joining us.
I don't think we'll have another one before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everyone who watches or listens to this. Thank you guys.
Yeah.